bet SGPs, you can do some live betting, you can bet on futures. They've got it all. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add just a little bit more energy to your weekends. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morissette with you, as we are each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, with brand new episodes coming at you, all Leafs, all the time, on the Locked On Leafs podcast, free and available wherever you get your podcast, and also on YouTube as well. So, Dave, what are some top storylines that you are keeping an eye on, that are intriguing to you as training camp starts up today?
Well, I mean, let's start with the new guys, right? Which of the new additions will make the biggest impact right off the start? Mm-hmm. Right? You got Dakota Joshua, you got Matthias Michelli, and Nicolas Waugh. Like, somebody just like that, all they added. I'm like, that's three new forwards right there. Three forwards that are all going to be everyday players in this lineup.
Yeah.
So, you know, Michelli talked on Monday at the golf tournament about how, you know, he's excited for an opportunity to, you know, get a potential consistent role in the top six. He also said it'd be nice to make the playoffs for the first time in his career. Little shot there at Utah and Arizona.
Little shot. What a shout.
Yeah. But like, you got him, you know, Nicolas Waugh, I think we've all pretty much have had him as the third line center. It's more so Dakota Joshua. Like, I know we have him right now as the third line, if you're going to go with that checking line. But something also tells me Berube might move this guy around a little bit at times.
Yeah. He can play up and down the lineup. He's got that. He's got some hands to him where he can play up in your lineup with some skilled players. And if he gets the puck in the dirty areas and he goes to the net, good things can happen, right? That's kind of what ended up happening his career year in Vancouver. Play with good players, you know, went to the right areas of the ice and was rewarded with a career-high 18-goal season, and followed it up with some pretty big-time, timely goals in the playoffs that year too. So for sure, you know, Joshua is a guy who can be a bit of a chess piece for Craig Berube. He's got good foot speed, and he's a forechecking machine. Forechecking, back-checking, very physical, loves to lay the body. So Joshua is going to be kind of a jack of all trades for Berube. So certainly he is someone to be keeping an eye on. That was kind of a similar storyline for me, right? Like the new faces. You know, you can even throw in like Michael Pezzetta, who's going to be coming over and now taking on that new tough guy role. Probably not going to be with the Maple Leafs, but he's a local kid and he's going to have an opportunity to come in and play. You know, what can he do? Is he going to drop the mitts at some point here throughout the preseason? I would imagine he does. What about Henry Thrun, right? A guy who has a chance to win that seventh defenseman role potentially. So he's going to come in and try and prove that he can be a regular in this, a regular NHLer. You know, and maybe not in the lineup every night, but at least be on the team for the full season, as opposed to being a tweener going taxied up and down between the American League and the National Hockey League. So, you know, the new faces, I think we're excited to see what they're all about. So that was one for me as well. Another one, I guess, is not a new face, but, you know, can Easton Cowan crack the lineup, right? There's going to be all eyes on Easton Cowan and what he ends up doing, how he plays, how he's progressed from a year ago. We got to see a little snippet of him in that Prospects game over the weekend. Played in one of the two games, and he looked okay, looked decent. We're not going to glean a whole lot from that one outing. But how does he look when he's playing men, right? Not prospects, but actual men. Whether it's these camp battles, these tough battles, you know, going in the corner, board battles, these drills that really teach you the puck protection. How does he look there? And I'd imagine he'll end up getting a fair amount of games too. Like, I think that the Leafs are going to give him every chance to try and prove that he can be worthy of making this team out of camp. I personally do not have him on my opening night roster right now, but he easily, with a solid camp, has an opportunity to crack the lineup and crack the roster. So if there's one player I'm most intrigued by, I guess, and what he can do, and if he can live up to expectation, I suppose it's probably Easton Cowan, right? So that's one specific player who I'm excited to see. One storyline I'm excited to watch, and that's the progression of Easton Cowan.
Yeah, he was kind of like will he push somebody out, right? Will he force the Leafs to make a call on a certain player? But at the same time, he's a player that can freely go up and down. So the only way I can really see Easton Cowan making this team is if, as you said, like if he's incredible, like there's no. It was almost like when Fraser Minton made the team. It's like he clearly put himself in a role that, you don't want to take him out. It's one of those, but at the same time, like I don't want him to be in a fourth line role and sitting in the press box if he's not playing. And I don't think the Leafs will do that to him, but that's just my only thing with him. I think he's, a lot of people, I read a lot of things that said, he's really. The increase in weight shows that he's more prepared to be ready for the pro game than he has been in past years.
190 pounds now. He's up to 190 pounds. So he was drafted at like 165 or something like that. So, he's added 15 pounds since his draft year, most of that being muscle, right? So that's a good thing. He's adding to his frame to allow himself to be more competitive against men in the NHL, where it wasn't as necessary in junior. Exactly.
And I think when a player does that, in my opinion, when he, adds that weight and we know that he's not adding, he's doing it, putting in the work, it just shows that he wants to get away from the mentality of, is he going to be strong enough? Is he going to have the size to handle the NHL, what comes at the NHL level? And I applaud him for, really pushing it. And we know that he's a guy he's got that farm boy strength.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he does. He's got that. If you're looking for like a comparable, Travis Konechny is like a good comparable for Easton Cowan. And he's somebody who was drafted as an undersized player, and he put some weight on once he got to the NHL, and he's blossomed into a formidable top six player, top six winger. He's got a little bit of jam, and is responsible defensively. So that's what you're hoping that Easton Cowan can turn into. And Konechny did kind of have a bit of a big step last season. Broke out with 24 goals, 76 points, his highest point total of his career last year, and he's 5'10", 192 pounds. Pretty well a similar build and play style to Easton Cowan. So that's a guy who you want to kind of emulate if you're Easton Cowan.